Okay, so welcome back. The idea is to work a little bit with the themes of this short story written by Bernard McLaverty, Secrets. Um, so let's start having a look and trying to first remember what we mean by themes. So it says the theme in a story is its underlying message or big idea. So remember that when we think of themes, we think of the what the writer is trying to transmit to us, what ideas of life, of beliefs the writer has, and how he is trying to transmit that to the reader. We can think, and if you remember from our course last year, that we talked about kind of like the excuse, the text becomes kind of like an excuse to discuss something, right? A certain theme, a certain idea, a certain belief. It's an understanding, and I think that's an interesting word. It's an understanding of something, right? So it says the theme in a story is its underlying message or big idea. In other words, what critical belief about life is the author trying to convey in the writing of a novel, play, short story, or poem? This belief or idea transcends cultural barriers. So the idea is it's a universal theme. If it has to do with what we discussed at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of this course, when we discussed the aims of the literature course, which had to do with an understanding of human concerns. Remember? So these would be what the human concerns then make up, in a way, these themes the writers discuss in their literary works. It says it is usually universal in nature. So here you can see a list of the main themes, which are letting go, love, guilt, forgiveness, and curiosity. So let's go to each of them and see how they work in this short story. So we've grouped love and letting go together. So here we have examples in the story where we can see how these themes are discussed. So Aunt Mary has never let go of John. She kept all her letters and postcards. She hasn't mentioned these letters to any other person, right? And we have here the idea of a hint of all her favorite books. And if you remember when you read part 2 of this story, it told us the writer lets us know, the narrator tells us the different stories that were read to the boy by his aunt, and in all of those stories, they all have to do with these themes, with love and letting go. And if you remember, her favorite passage was the one when Pip meets Mrs. Havisham, which, if you remember, you had a link to a video there that is from a Charles Dickens novel, and in that novel, the idea is that this character was left at the altar, and she has grieved her whole life for that love that she's lost. So we can see how that is also present here in this story, and how important John was for her, which also has to do with love, right? Which could explain a little bit of the way in which the aunt reacts when the boy reads her letters, right? He is kind of, let's say, he has intruded in her privacy, but not only that, um, he has intruded in her love and in the fact that she has problems with letting go. Okay, here we have another 2 of them, which is guilt and forgiveness. So we can see how these 2 work kind of hand in hand in this story. It says the boy still feels guilty about having invaded his aunt's privacy. That is also something quite interesting to think about. We see this guilt, especially at the end of the story when he asks his mother whether he knows if his aunt said anything before she died, and so that also gives us this idea of a feeling of guilt. And this is noticeable at the end of the story when the boy's crying and hoping that his aunt can forgive him. So, for there to be forgiveness, for the need of, if one needs forgiveness, it means that one feels guilty of something that one has done. And so that is also something interesting to think about and how that is worked with in this story. And the last main theme that we can think of is that of curiosity. And it talks about their relationship change due to the boy's curiosity. Curiosity is something that can be positive, but can also have its negative side. So it is, we always, as teachers, for example, we always aim at students' curiosity. But then again, there is a very famous saying in English, which is curiosity killed the cat. What does that mean? It means that curiosity has another side to it, which is the fact that sometimes, because we are so curious, we might invade somebody else's privacy. So that's also something interesting, which has to do as well with maybe with limits and